this is Josh Placer from GameWisdom.com, and this is the first of several video series that I like to call Horrorless Horror. One second, I just want to lower the sound just a tad. There we go. So, one thing you may not know about me is that I've become very interested in horror games over the last few years. I've played just about all the big ones: Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dead Space, Alan Wake, so on, as well as indie titles like Amnesia, among a lot of others. And the one thing that I found is that a lot of the so-called horror genre today just doesn't really work for me. I think that they're missing some of the key parts of what makes a good horror game. So for this series, I want to look at some of the more popular horror games over the last few years and just break down why they didn't work for me and what you can learn about good horror design from these mistakes. Obviously, this video series is going to be very, very spoiler filled. So, and I figured what better game to start with than was become really the poster child, I think, for a lot of indie horror games, and that's Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I want to say something a little mean now, but every time I hear someone say that they couldn't finish Amnesia because they were too scared by it, I start chuckling to myself a little bit. I found myself not so much scared of Amnesia, but just bored of it. I think I was so bored that I actually started singing various classic rock songs while I was actually playing Amnesia the last time. So this should be very interesting, and we will of course start a new game. And we'll play about maybe 40 minutes to an hour. That should be enough to show off Amnesia.
Some things mustn't be forgotten. Shadow hunting me. I must hurry. My name is Daniel. I live in London at Mayfair. What have I done? This is crazy. Don't forget. Don't forget. I must stop him. Focus. My name is... I am Daniel.
This is, of course, the beginning of the game that's setting up your little trip. Come on. Come on, boy, get up. There we go. Alright, so these are just pretty much sound bites for people who beat the game. We're not going to worry too much about that here. Alright, so the basic gameplay, this is definitely an exploration style horror title. No combat, and just a focus on puzzles. At this start of the game, things are getting all creepy and messed up. Crawl, you can move around. And so this early part of Amnesia isn't that bad. It sets the mood of the game pretty well. You can tell there's some grand mystery going on. You can open things up like so. And things will get not as hazy in a few minutes. Pick up bottles and throw them. Gotta love realistic physics, right, folks? So this early stage again is just really setting the mood for Amnesia. You're told pretty much nothing about what's going on. You just have to follow this mysterious trail of liquid. You have stats. hear random sounds and stuff. Again, really good mood setting. And this is, I think, what made a lot of people enjoy. Oop, I think I just fell over. A lot of people enjoy Amnesia from a horror setting. But as we're going to talk about, if I can ever get up there, why the game doesn't really work when we start looking more into the horror aspects of the design. You can see we have darkness. And you cannot stay in the dark for long, or it's going to mess with your sanity. And if your sanity gets too out of control, I believe you will die, or things will just get so hazy it becomes very hard to see. Alright. So again, we're still very early in the game. And we do not want to be going in there. And we're still just wandering around. I think it was this way. Again, environmental design is pretty good, I will give them that. Here are some random notes, sort of, to give you an idea of the story without telling you the story, in a sense. Let's see. We're still pretty much in the early parts. How are we doing? Still have a slight headache. What happened? Again, do not want to stay in the dark. Head is pounding. Okay. Game's gonna get a little hazy soon. So we gotta get moving. Mysterious sounds. So I mean, the mood of the game is really good. Finally got a lantern, so now we can actually move around the dark. Now the game features the limited resources of the tinder bundles, or tinder boxes, which is a mechanic that I know is debatable among a lot of people. Because if you spend too long looking in one area, you'll run out of the tinder you need. And I had a problem with that in Outlast. We don't need to use this. So far, things are just going around. We finally got pretty much our sole, like, inventory item right here. Yep, things are still shaking. And your main thing to look around is for the tinder boxes. You can also find oil for the lantern. Alright, so this is
9th of August, 1839. Don't be afraid, God willing, the name Alexander of Brandenburg. One last thing. Redeem us both, Daniel.
So again, the story really sets up an interesting tale, as your character has lost his memory, and now you're pretty much led around using the narrative of the notes and whatnot. A few little secret switches there. Oh, come on, get down. There we go. And I'm just gonna work right through just to save on the lantern. So far, not much to complain about with Amnesia. This is still the early stages, and early parts of any horror game are really hard to mess up since the player is not used to what's happening. I can run now. Oh.
Alexander, is it inside the castle?
In a manner of speaking. Come, bring the lamp.
Got some more
You've been to the
little
refinery, have you not?
I don't believe I have. Is it connected to the... what did you call it?
The inner sanctum. My most precious chamber, Daniel. And it lies well beyond the refinery. In fact, it lies beneath the very stone of Brandenburg.
So here's our first little mystery, or a more occult thing. We have this mysterious substance here blocking us. Can't do anything about that. And this is pretty much the concept of a hub area. It's used in a lot of adventure game or platformers to define a set space for the player to explore, and usually there is a common goal or main objective that they have to complete within the hub area to move on to the next one. So our goal pretty much is we need to figure out a way to get rid of that stuff. And to do so, we need to explore whatever is left. Oop. Obviously, we have areas that are not able to get around. So again, this early stage is not... There's really nothing to complain about because nothing really is going on here. We're just moving around. And once we get to our first, I guess, real horror situation, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about Amnesia's design. So, we moved on to the next area. Oh. There's something around here, or is there?
16th of May. Later that
Again, we have notes here. I'm going to skip the story beats just so that we don't spend too much time on that. Okay. Now again, Amnesia's horror design is very much a passive experience. You're not really able to interact with the enemies. You can't really actually look at them. So it's really about avoiding them the best you can. Okay. Well, I'll use one of my Tinder bundles here, just so I can spend some time in this room. And I already got a Tinder box, so it doesn't really matter. So again, we're pretty much looking around for some information. Again, the game does a really good job of setting the mood.
17th today.
And the aesthetics really do lean to this great mystery of what's going on. Oh wait, I saw something there. Now with this kind of inventory management, either for most players, you're either going to find everything that you need or you're going to be struggling. And that's why a lot of people don't like having like fixed resources like that. Again, you can hear there's something going on. Apparently there's a piano playing. Alright. Locked door. Here's the piano. Obviously there are no maps here, you're supposed to just look around for yourself. Alright, this is where it came from. So again, at this early stage of the game, we know that there's something going on, but the game doesn't really tell us or give us any clues as to what that is. Oh. Yeah, it's strange random noises, of course. You can see the area has now been closed off behind us, so we have to find another way out. What's going on? can, but I still broke it, so I'm not sure how that happened. Oop.
17th of May, 1839.
Up here's some more exposition.
After pounding the unforgiving stone wall for what seemed like an eternity, I realized it was hopeless. I was trapped. I fell to the ground, gasping for air, trying to focus. That's when I saw a faint blue shimmer.
Alright.
My weakened body was heavy to carry, but I managed to push myself toward the enchanting light. It was waiting for me. Enclosed in dark nothingness, I felt myself drawn to the mystic light. I reached out, closing it in my hands. The faint glow escaped my fingers and began to spark brightly and spirit me away, unlocking alien memories of spiraling towers, endless deserts, and impossible geometry. The next thing I can remember is the grating sound of stone being lifted, the voices of the Arabs pulling me to safety, and grasped firmly in my hands was the broken pieces of a most peculiar relic.
So story expositions like that and this slower pace of the game are really why a lot of people were drawn to Amnesia, especially when you consider the other horror games at the time. Stuff like the Dead Space series, Alan Wake, and a lot more action-focused horror titles. With this, there's very little action. It's just more about your exploration. Come on, there you go. Oop, now what?
Much of the castle is old and hasn't been tended to for centuries. When the shadow arrives, it won't take long until things start falling apart.
We're just buying time anyway. Let's do what we can.
There isn't much to be done about the walls. We should reinforce weak structures. The ground will tremble and there's a risk everything will cave in on us, especially downstairs. Here, and there. Let's get the servants working on it.
Break, Dan. Break. There we go.
You have to be swift when you activate the first one. You hear that? If it stops, you'll have to start over.
Right,
Isn't all this a bit excessive?
You can never be too careful, Daniel.
Again, we have random sounds. And a simple puzzle here, just gotta find all the books. There we go. And our reward is a key. Ooh. So your reward was not only the key, but you heard that little crazy thing that's going on. Again, we gotta search for any good items. So far just basic puzzle solving, nothing too out of the way. Doors force open. So you can hear there is something around here. Alright, now I guess we have to come back this way, I think. Oop, what is that? Again, this early stage of the game, just setting up the framing of all the situations, and now the enemy's gone, because that was just a simple structure there. Again, the game does a really good job of setting the mood. And that kind of mood and pacing, once again, is why a lot of people enjoyed Amnesia for the horror. But what we're going to talk about as we get further in is that the game doesn't do a good enough job of... What was that? Oh, little things there. As I was saying, the game doesn't do a really good job of building the horror back up. Good horror design is really about a push and pull. You need a build-up and then you need a release. Without both, the game just doesn't work. And Amnesia does a good job of building up the horror at the start, but then it doesn't really go anywhere with it. 1 second. So I want to double check, make sure everything is looking good here. Yeah. That looks good. 1 second, let me get back into it. There we go. And now we are required to go to each and every one of the rooms here. We found the wine cellar key, which means we obviously need to find the wine cellar next. Okay, here's the laboratory. There's the wine cellar. So you can see the hub is broken up into these different areas, obviously, and the game uses this kind of concept several more times throughout the title. Maggots. So of course we're not getting out that way, no matter how many times I throw that rock. This is pretty much the way of the designer corralling you around. So obviously we're going to go to the wine cellar next. And so far we've been playing for about 20 minutes. There's been no actual attack yet. It's just been all build up. Yep, more exposition.
Where did the Baron go?
Who cares? He left us enough wine to last us a lifetime. Or at least until tomorrow.
Okay. Again, just still basics puzzle solving here, nothing too complicated. We're still in the exposition stage of the game. Gotta love those sounds. My sanity has gone bye-bye. Ugh, that's gonna be a pain. This is the problem with having these types of mechanics that affect your vision. It doesn't really make the game scary, it just makes things very annoying. So for those of you who get motion sickness, I really do apologize for this part, because it's starting to make me feel a little dizzy too. 1 second.
There's nothing left.
Oh, he's talking to himself.
Gone.
Alright, so that's 2. I've been in there. Have I been in here yet? Pretty much we need to find these chemicals that we're going to need to mix. Well, we need to break into the next area. So again, it's basically you going through each area to find what you need, and then using that to open up the door. Oh, what's this? This the last thing? Yeah, I think that was. Oop. Come on. There we go. Yeah, my sanity has dipped very low. Okay. Alright, so we have to make use of the physics here. Man. There we go. Get out of my way, you. Ugh. Again, this is why I don't like mechanics that blur or distort your vision if you don't make use of them. Just because it just becomes a pain in the ass. And this is one of the problems with Amnesia and games that make use of mechanic, is at this point I'm not so much scared by what's going on, but I'm starting to get annoyed by the graphical effects. And when you start making the player annoyed, they really just lose to the horror. At this point, I don't really give a shit if there's anything in the next room, because my head is starting to bother me from how this whole haziness is. Okay, so I just recovered enough sanity so that I can actually see things without the whole visual effect crap going on. So you can see there a little map. Alright, so I think we got all the chemicals we need. How are we doing? We got a lot of oil. Alright, so I've been in there, been in there, been in here? Okay, maybe not. Alright, again, really good use of the environment design and just really setting the player up for this horror at hand. Build up obviously is very important to horror titles, but there needs obviously to be a release, because without it you can't really do anything else. Again, really good sound design, and the slower pace really does work for horror, but again, you need some kind of a release, or you're just going to keep the player on edge until they get bored. Alright, more random noises. Don't tell me I have... Ugh, damn. I'll use one of these Tinder bundle thingies. So unfortunately we have to make do. Alright, chimney. Alright, so we need 4 chemicals.
Should be more coop racks. Let me see. And 1 part aqua fortis.
Get out of my way, chair. Alright, so I just found a little bit of a secret item. My third 10, that's how I produce. So you can see we're trying to make acid. And the acid, of course, will be used to break through the door. So, just basic adventure game stuff here. Alright. Okay, not bad. Still just basic puzzle solving so far. But apparently I missed one of the chemicals. And I think I know where. I think it's back in the wine cellar. Alright, get rid of that. Alright. So at this point of the game, we're still really in the preamble, I suppose. Huh. A little lean guy. Come on. But at this point, I am starting to get myself. I'm starting to feel a little bit bored. I think I missed it down here. Where are you? I'll be around here somewhere. Okay, came in there. Again, random sound effects to help. There we go. Oh no, wait. Oh, what's that? Again, the game does a good job of raising the tension up at this early stage, but it's not really going anywhere with it. Yeah, random sound effects. Where is that last thing? There's supposed to be 4. Okay. There's one in there.
Someone's coming.
Yep, thank you, crazy guy. Here's where number 2 was. Number 3 was in here. So, did I miss number 4 in here somewhere? I think I did.
What's happening? Oh, feels like my chest is going to burst.
There it is.
My God! Wilhelm, do something!
Accept it. We're not getting out of here.
How can you say that? Alexander, you piece of shit! Let us out of here!
There we go. Got what I needed. Now we can get out of here. This early part, there's not much to talk about Amnesia, unfortunately. But well, we should be getting to the fun stuff in a minute. Puzzles are, of course, pretty basic. They're all just mix and match of items. Yeah. That actually hurt me. There we go. I'm just rushing through this early part just so we can actually show off, I guess, the real, like, danger situation of the game. Alright, so we gotta mix the chemicals. Here we go. Okay. Where's the burner? There we go. Lavas. Again, using the hub-like design for your puzzles helps to eliminate a lot of the backtracking and confusion of older adventure titles. Because everything is locked to like one or two rooms, makes it a lot easier to not get lost. And since areas will close off afterwards, it becomes, you can just pretty much keep pushing the player forward. So as you can see, the environment has changed. Things have gotten a lot more disturbing here. And because we've completed all the areas in the hub, we're now ready to move on. And moving on requires some acid. And again, from an aesthetic and just like mood standpoint, I don't have any complaint about Amnesia. But when we get to actually the horror, that's when things get a little annoying. Yeah.
It sure is dark in here.
Yes, and there's a good reason for it. But you can light the lamp now if you wish.
What's the reason? For the darkness, that is.
Stay close. Be careful not to stray.
What's the reason? Why is it so dark?
Pay attention, Daniel. It's important that you keep going straight and make sure not to stray.
Oop. There's our little friend yet again. So a really nice touch that they have is the fact that you can't look at the enemies because it will raise your sanity, but you need to look at them in order to know where they are.
What is this place?
Alright, of course we're losing more of our sanity. Let's see.
20 seconds back.
That's a monster I'm dead. Alright, again, really good job of setting the mood and the pacing. Again, the tension is really high, that's great. But we're still not really interacting with these enemies. Alright. We're going.
25th of June. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Here we go. Here's that annoying visual effect again. And this is a big problem I have with Amnesia, as I've said earlier. It's not really making me scared, it's just making me sick, literally just looking at it. Same thing happened in Outlast, by the way. That's a game that I may look at in this video series. Alright, I can't see anything, getting dizzy. Nauseous, I'm nauseous. I don't know if anyone here actually will remember that line. Alright, this is where I came in at. Again, it's really hard to tell because the whole game is hazy as hell. If you notice, the enemy has disappeared. He was just here to let you know that the enemies are around. Ugh. Hold on. I need to stop for a second. Ooh. As I said, I don't like this mechanic because it's really starting to make my head hurt. Which I guess if that was the purpose of the developer, mission accomplished. Ow. Alright, where were we? Ugh. But yeah, again, the game does this really good job of setting up the atmosphere and the tension, but it's not doing anything with it. Because the enemy designs are about passive experience, there's no real sense of danger. It's just me wandering around and then either avoiding the enemy or getting hurt. And again, because of this dizziness, it's very hard to actually notice important things like that. Ugh. Alright, so we have to use the pulley. Yeah, I don't know how this is looking for those of you watching this either record or live right now, but it's certainly bothering me. Something is clogging the pulley and the crank. So what could it be? Oh my word, barrels. Alright. Oh, there it is. Are you? Come on. Well, I can stand on a barrel, but... Come on. Ugh. And despite the limited mechanics of the game, the developers did do an okay job of giving you interesting challenges to make use of with the physics and moving around. There we go. And away we go. And if you think this is bad, Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs is even worse in terms of build-up but no release. Oh. Ah, yes, this little challenge. Alright, this is our first main situation of Amnesia, and this is a good section, I will say that. The idea is that there's something invisible in the water, and it's only going to attack us if we fall into the water. You can see something moving around. So this is a really good section of Amnesia. This is probably one of the better parts of the game, because this is you actively being engaged. I have to do something or I'm going to get killed. The second I fall in, that thing's going to come after me like a very pissed off island. No way. This is basically the world's worst game of hot lava. So this part, this is a really good example of a release situation. All I can do is avoid this thing. Actually, this is not so much hot lava as it reminds you of Tremors. Again, I am really baiting some of that reference. That was a little close. But again, this is really good horror. The game presents you with a challenge, the obstacle of this monster, and then you trying to get around. Alright. So I can't stay in the water for more than a second, that thing's going to eat me. But I have to move quickly, or I won't make it to the door in time. Even though we got through that one, there's a second one right here. And this is definitely very much Tremors-esque as you're trying to move your way through. Or for a more modern reference, it would be sort of like the episode Community, I think. Again, just very creative use, again, of a very limited mechanic to present an interesting challenge. Aha. There you. Just have to make it over there. I did not want to do that. And again, this early part of Amnesia is where the game is at its best. You have no idea what the situation is, you're just trying to survive everything that comes at you. And if there was more challenging segments like this, I wouldn't have anything to complain with Amnesia. So this is a brilliant piece of puzzle solving. You had to use these boxes because you need to spend time here to open the gate. So if you would have just jumped in the water, there would have been no way you would have done this without that creature killing you. Okay. Now we run. Ow. Wow, that hurt. And we can see it, there's something in the water. Alright. It's locked with a simple lock. I think there's a lock pick over here. does a good job of keeping the pace up. And again, that was a really good segment of horror design. You're dealing with something that you can't directly fight, so you have to get around it. And unfortunately, that was really the only segment of that. You will meet that thing later on, but it's not so much a challenge. So again, this is the continuation. We just have to get around. Again, this is really good horror. You're running for your life any way you can. So that 2 segments right there was probably the best part of Amnesia. Alright. But that was actually it. Let's see. How are things doing here? One second, I'm going to do a quick time check. I just want to see what we're at. Just under an hour in. Okay. For those of you watching this live right now, if anyone, I'm doing a different method of keeping track of the chat. So I'm not sure if there's anyone actually listening or watching right now. But if you are and I haven't responded, I do apologize. Again, really great environmental design in this game. Okay. Splash in the water. And we're presented with another hub. Very nice environments.
You have an ascending room. Will it take us to the inner sanctum?
It will definitely take care of the vertical part of our journey. So, you have ridden an elevator before?
Yes, the Colosseum at Regent's Park has one. It takes you to the gallery where you can view the panorama.
Good. This ride might be a little longer, and in the other direction.
So again, we're presented with another hub, another obstacle. This time we have to get the elevator working. And the hub design does work. So we're presented with one room there. It came in over there. As much tinder and oil as we can manage. There we go. And once again, all the items we need to solve this are going to be around in these various rooms. So we have the 1, 2, I think this will be number 3, yep. 4, so there's 4 rooms that we need to explore. But you know what? I think I may call it for this video now. All that running around with the sandy crap messing with my head is actually starting to give me a little bit of a headache. So I'm going to call it here, but I am going to return to Amnesia to basically play a little bit more to show you why the game, after that brilliant 2-piece segment, why the remaining gameplay of the title doesn't really work to generate horror. So that's going to be it for now. I'm going to leave you with this lovely scene. It looks like a fountain with a baby head leaking onto stone lakes. I have no idea what that represents there. But there's going to be more games in this Horrorless Horror series. I have a few more ideas in mind. But we're going to save that for another time. So, those of you who've been watching this live, thanks so much for tuning in. If you've been enjoying this on YouTube and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to the channel. That'll help me out a lot. And everybody, please check out game-wisdom.com for posts and podcasts, especially a lot of my posts regarding horror games and design. I had a big Halloween horror-themed podcast a few years ago that was pretty fun. I may have another one this year, too. We'll see. And please check out the Patreon campaign to secure some much-needed monthly funding to keep everything running. You can find me on Patreon under Josh Beister or Game Wisdom, and any donation would be greatly appreciated. And finally, for the YouTube crowd, if you'd like to watch these videos live, you can find me on Twitch most nights at 10 Eastern under GW Beister. I won't just be playing games like this, but I'll be doing general streaming as well. So again, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't scare too many of you, or hopefully I didn't make any of you nauseous from all that crazy blurring and haziness of Amnesia. And I'll be back real soon to wrap up this look at the game. So anyway, take care, and I will talk to you guys again real soon. I have to exit out just so I can interact with OBS. So, let me get out of there. And I know there's nothing on screen right now. For those of you watching, you can probably just turn the video off right now. I just want to quickly double check Twitch just to make sure what has been happening since I've been in-game. Alright, nothing. Okay. Well, that's it, folks. I should really say that's all, folks.